Alright, so what I'm going to show you all is this is kind of a part of 3 videos I'm going to do. I'm going to kind of do them individually so you can kind of watch each individual section of it. But this one I'm going to show you is 1-point perspective. Alright, so with it, if you kind of look at anytime you're in a hallway or any kind of sidewalk or anything else, all those perspective lines are coming towards your eye, right? So anything that is close to you obviously is bigger than anything that's further away, right? Just like if you're driving down the highway, down Highway 6 or whatever else, right? So if I look at that, right, I always use a triangle for my 1-point perspectives, and only because it makes it easier to kind of see the background and kind of look at different things when you're looking at it. You can kind of cheat and look through the triangle itself. But when I'm looking at, let's say if I'm looking at a hallway, right? So I could obviously start and kind of give myself a scale of this one, right? And so I can give it however I want, right? And so let's say if I pick 1/8 inch, then I could say, all right, that hallway is about 12 feet wide and give or take about 10 feet tall, right? And so let's give or take about what the hallways are coming to the studio, right? With that, once I kind of get going, I can pick some spots, right? And so that's gonna be my vanishing point and kind of where my eye's at, right? And so if I look at this, I can pick wherever. I could have picked it here, I could pick it here, here, doesn't matter, right? When you make your point, don't try to make it big. I'm doing it big just so I can show y'all and you can kind of watch it for a frame of reference, right? So once I kind of look at that, if my hallway is coming out towards me, right? And I already said that once everything that starts coming to your eye it gets bigger, right? So the one thing with 1-point perspectives, everything that comes to your eye must go through the point, no matter what, okay? If something is like going left or right to you, then that line is always horizontal, right? And then if something's vertical in life, then it's going to remain vertical, okay? So if I start looking at this now, I'll try not to smear it with the expo marker. I can kind of look at that guy coming here, coming through my point again, lining that up, lining this guy up, and even kind of lining that one up, right? So I'm going to put my point back, right? So then there's kind of my hallway that I'm kind of looking at, right? So once I start kind of seeing that, right, now I can say, all right, well, he said anything that is vertical in life remains vertical, right? So let's say if we're drawing kind of the hallway walking towards the studio, right? So I'm gonna change colors just so you can kind of see, right? And so what if I pick these kind of areas right here, right? So that's where, like where one of the classrooms would be, right? So what I can look now, I'm gonna switch and use a green because you can kind of see it. This guy is gonna still stay horizontal, right? This one will stay horizontal as well. Same with this one, and same with this one, right? But in theory, what's gonna happen is this line is still gonna go, but sooner or later, I'm gonna have some other wall that is sitting there, right? And so I can say that wall is sitting right there, right? Gonna mark this guy, right? So that's kind of sitting there like that, right? In theory, this line would go away. This line can go away, right? So if I do the same thing over here, this guy comes right there. This line will kind of go away. This line will go away as well, right? So I can actually, in theory, then pull this guy out here. Same thing with this one. Pull this guy out here. Come with this. Pull this guy. And again, pull that guy out. Okay? Well, y'all can't see that line I just drew because it's out of view. Okay? So now, that's kind of the hallway kind of idea, right? Now, given I can still put everything on the back wall, right? And so say if I have a door that's back here, whatever, it's sitting there, doorknob, window, whatever, right? So that's that kind of idea. Now, let's say we want to put the acoustical tiles up on top, right? And so those little 2x2 squares that I referenced one day in class, right? So with those, they are going to get bigger as they come to you, right? And so that square is going to get bigger. But the horizontal members, right, they are still going to be the same as what that guy is, right? And same with this one, so on, right? So all those are sitting there, right? And so all those lines are still going to match that one, right? So let's say if I take, as my marker keeps rolling on my table, once I take these, I can kind of start looking and saying, all right, I've got that one. This is a little harder. I'm gonna hold up my ruler, right? But these are gonna start getting bigger as I come across, right? And so I think that line is out of y'all's view, okay? So those are starting to get bigger on that, right? One way to kind of cheat is if I kind of glance and say, all right, if I'm drawing this at a location, right, then I can see, all right, well, maybe one of those acoustical tiles hits there, one hits there, one hits there, right? So then I can kind of use that, right? And I can then, since those are coming towards me, I have to go through that point, okay? So once I do it, then I can come from this one, still from my point. Sorry, I had to switch my triangle. My tripod that my camera phone is on is off it, right? So I could come here. Let's say if I have another one, that's right there, right? So then there becomes the acoustical tile sitting there, right? And so that's all kind of where it kind of looks, right? So if I do a quick glance at it, right, that guy's kind of sitting there. That's what the hallway looks like, right? But let's take one step further. If I look at where this is sitting, right, this is actually a dead-end corridor, right? And so what that means is there's nowhere to go left or right, right? One way that I can kind of change that is, obviously this wall needs to be taller, right? And so in theory, this would kind of come down, come back around, and then that would kind of change that area idea. Oh, sorry, in the wrong way is what I'm thinking. This will go away, this will go away, and now I can change this. I'm gonna make this door really squatty, but so now you can kind of see that wall that comes there, right? I'm gonna make this go away so you can kind of see it a little bit better. If that comes here, comes down and back around, and that wall comes over, now I can, in theory, go and walk that direction. I can walk that direction because, in theory, what it looks like, if I look at that one spot, that's sitting like that. I'll just do kind of a zoomed in kind of view of it. So it's sitting there. So now I can kind of look that way and maybe the in reverse of that side, okay? That's just a basic 1 point, but if you're trying to figure out different views for your sketches, here's one way. Like I said, I'll have 2 other videos, one that'll be 2 point, and then also an isometric view that you can kind of play with and kind of look at, all right?